This episode of A Hit to the Head is brought to you by Better Fantasy. We will be hearing from them at the halfway mark of today's episode. Stay tuned for a special offer for them. But for now, let's roll the intro.
Welcome back to A Hit to the Head. This is episode 40 here on the show, and today we are bringing you your Week 5 recap of the 2022 NFL season. Just as we always do, we have a ton of action to get into today, so let's put on our hard hats and let's get to work on breaking down Week 5 of the 2022 NFL season and what it means heading into Week 6. Let's do this. Let's start this recap off with the Sunday morning matchup between the New York Giants and the Green Bay Packers. As they went overseas to play in London, the New York Giants came away with a clutch victory here against my Green Bay Packers, 27-22. Why does this keep happening? I mean, we dominated for 3 quarters and then we just died off. To be honest, I just wasn't a fan of the Packers' game plan against the Giants here. Aaron Rodgers spoke with head coach Matt LaFleur about, quote, airing it out more on offense. But this team doesn't really have a serious receiver we're targeting, 10 or more times a game, like how they did with Devontae Adams. But when you only have complementary roles, you can't really air it out. You don't really have that dynamic playmaker. However, you do in running back Aaron Jones, and yet you're not using him like you should. Aaron Jones, running back for the Green Bay Packers, he needs to become a focal point of this offense. It goes without saying, because this is a guy who's averaging 6.5 yards per carry. I'll say that again, 6.5 yards per carry. That's absurd. I can't comprehend how incredible that is. I mean, you're lucky if a running back can average 4 yards per carry. This guy's averaging 6.5. You have the best running back duo in the NFL, bar none. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. I mean, these two guys complement each other like bread on butter. These guys are unreal. They should combine for at least 35 touches a game. And when I say touches, what are we talking about? When we say touches, we're talking about a rush attempt or a pass reception. So these guys should be averaging 35 touches a game combined. All right? You don't need to have Aaron Jones have 20 rush attempts or vice versa, A.J. Dillon have 20. Share the workload. It doesn't have to be like the Tennessee Titans where you just run Derrick Henry into the ground with like 35 rush attempts. You don't have to do that whatsoever. I mean, these guys are so versatile. They're so talented. You can do whatever you want with them. You can kick them outside and have them be a receiving threat. Do whatever you want. But you need to incorporate them into this offense. They're way too talented to not do so. I do want to give a shout out to Daniel Jones, aka Danny Dimes, for the New York Giants quarterback, for battling through a comeback win in London despite having an ankle injury. I mean, this guy was just marching all over the field in key moments, getting first downs and, this, that, the other. I mean, this guy was just having a great day despite being injured. Good stuff from head coach Brian Daboll. He's really putting a number in on this team. They're looking really good. I mean, the Giants are 4-1. You can't really look much better than that. The Giants are looking really, really good. I'm seeing a lot of good stuff from Big Blue. Are they a wagon? Not yet. I mean, we still need to see them beat the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. But hey, they're on track to being a really solid team this year. Nice work for Big Blue. Green Bay Packers, they have a lot to clean up here. Up next, we had the Bills defending their home turf in Buffalo against the invading Pittsburgh Steelers. 38-3, an absolute walloping of a game here. Like I said last week, the Bills would have no problem against the Steelers. What else did I say last week about this matchup, though? Don't start Kenny Pickett. And what did the Steelers do? They started Kenny Pickett. Come on, son! There are few people out there who wanted Pittsburgh to draft Kenny Pickett more than I. As someone who needs to sit for a year, ride the bench before he gets his feet wet. This dude hasn't learned to swim yet. But the Steelers are forcing him to pull off, a Houdini underwater straitjacket escape. And all he's doing is drowning here. I mean, give this guy a chance. Let him learn the ropes in the NFL before you just start throwing him out there. You had this guy throwing 50 times in this game. After his first game, he had 3 interceptions. I love Kenny Pickett. I love that he went to the Steelers. But use your heads. Be better than this. Ride with Trubisky. Let's be honest here. Let's be brutally honest. You guys suck. There's no beating around the bush, no pussyfooting around this. The Pittsburgh Steelers are not a good football team this year. And that's okay. Because next year they're going to be better. Is to put in a young guy who's not ready. Moving right along here, the LA Chargers got the win in Cleveland against the Browns, 30-28 in nail-biter fashion. Chargers improved to 3-2. Browns fall to 2-3. Despite some ups and downs early into the 2022 season, this is a Chargers team that can and will make the playoffs. I mean, let's look at it this way. They have the quarterback, Justin Herbert. I mean, I can rant all day about how awesome this guy is. I mean, he's the dude. They have an unreal offensive line when healthy. That's a big asterisk, obviously. But, when healthy, this is one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. They have a cheat code of a running back in Austin Eckler. I mean, this is a guy who had 16 rushes for 173 yards and a tutty on the day against the Browns. He also had 26 receiving yards and another tutty against the Browns. 200 scrimmage yards and 2 touchdowns against Cleveland in this matchup. I mean, how are ya? You have an elite pass-catching core, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen when healthy, and you have a bunch of other guys who are really good complementary guys. And last but not least, you have a formidable pass rush highlighted by edge rushers Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, ever heard of them, and as well as a solid secondary. I mean, all this together, this is a really solid NFL team, and, despite this 3-2 record, like I said, they got off to a bumpy start in the season. Don't be surprised for this team to get back on track and make the playoffs. I mean, this is the expectation for this team, and I expect them to live up to it. As for the Cleveland Browns, I mean, after the Deshaun Watson deal, this organization should burn to the ground. Continuing with our Week 5 recap, we had the Miami Dolphins going in to MetLife Stadium to take on the New York Jets in what was supposed to be a fairly easy win. However, it was for the New York Jets. The Jets put up 40 points against the Miami Dolphins. The Jets won 40-17. Guys, I don't know which is a bigger deal here. The fact that the Jets put up 40 points? Or the fact that the Jets have a winning record? Granted, it's 3-2, but it's a winning record. I think the obvious answer here is the winning record. As far as the 40 points, even a blind squirrel finds a nut sometimes. But a winning record for the Jets? Zach Wilson, a.k.a. the Mormon King, he said it perfectly in the post-game press conference. The expectation is changing. The Jets have entered this stage of no longer being a pushover team. Now, opposing teams have to grind in order to beat the Jets. You can still beat them, for sure, but you're going to need to work for it now. And really, this is just an overall representation of the culture being effectively established by General Manager Joe Douglas and head coach Robert Saleh, or as I like to call him, Robert Salad. I mean, these guys have really put two heads together to make an overall mega mind here. They're really just creating a solid NFL team. No longer are they a laughingstock. This is a serious NFL squad, and they need to be treated as such. I kind of view them in a similar light of the Detroit Lions. Are they going to win every single game? No. However, you can expect them to battle. They're going to make you have to work for that win. And that's how the New York Jets are starting to look. They're not a superstar caliber roster, but they do have some great pieces in the fold. Guys who are just absolute workhorses who just gut out games left and right. Before we move on to our next matchup, there is one more thing I'd like to add about the Jets-Dolphins game. Jets, Jets. All right, moving on. The San Francisco 49ers went into Carolina to take on the Panthers. The 49ers got an easy win here, 37-15. I mean, the Niners, they're just doing fine without quarterback Trey Lance. They lost him to injury in week 2. Who needs him? When you have Jimmy G, who can quietly and consistently help the team win games. And the way he does that is by not losing them. And there's a big difference. When we talk about not losing games, we're talking about a guy who doesn't have game-altering turnovers or just, bad reads. This is a guy who just makes simple plays, lets his playmakers do what they need to do, doesn't put the defense in bad spots. He just doesn't lose games. He's not going to be a guy who takes over games and, leads these unreal comebacks. He's not that kind of guy. but he's a guy who, he'll put up points and he won't put you in bad spots. That's the difference between doesn't lose games. Now, another thing I want to point out for the 49ers is that running back Jeff Wilson is worthy of recognition as one of the current top running backs in the NFL, at least one of the hottest. He's a strong, elusive back who can be a viable target in the air attack and be a lethal weapon in open space. These buzzwords translate to him being a very good running back. This is a guy who does a lot for the team in the passing game and the ground game. He's just invaluable for the team right now, and he's going to continue to keep humming for them. The big news for the Carolina Panthers after this game, though, was that head coach Matt Rule was fired. The Panthers are 1-4 on the season, and after an 11-27 stint from 2020 to 2022, the former Baylor coach is going back to college. He's clearly just a college coach, and he's going to stay that way. Up next, we have the Dallas Cowboys upsetting the defending Super Bowl champions, the LA Rams, on the road 22-10. Cooper Rush, quarterback who's filling in for superstar Dak Prescott, he may need to stay the starter even if Dak is ready to play. I mean, this guy is 4-0. What more can you ask from a quarterback? Dallas's defense also is a totally new animal this season compared to last. You can finally shut down teams when they need to. No longer does the offense need to put up, 30-plus points as a safety blanket. The defense is able to shut teams away in the second half. And, this might be scary for, people who hate on the Dallas Cowboys because they could be a serious threat moving on in the year. As for the Rams, they're getting in their own way, especially quarterback Matthew Stafford. He's tied with who else but Matt Ryan of the Indianapolis Colts for the most interceptions on the year with 7. They need to clean up and they need to button down. We all know that this is clearly a playoff team, but they're getting in their own way. They're 2-3 on the year. They need to figure things out here. Our next matchup features the Philadelphia Eagles going into Arizona to take on the Cardinals. The Eagles are still undefeated. Where's Ashton Kutcher? Am I getting punked? How are the Eagles doing this? They're 5-0 on the season. So many weapons that can hit you 10 million ways. The only thing I want to say about this is it's not consistency on offense. Hey, they scored points in all 4 quarters. We got to give them respect for that. They listened to my message, and they got it, and they're doing well. One thing I want to keep harping on, though, is about Jalen Hurts. Slide, dude. Slide. Stop taking these open field hits. Live to fight another day. You're not supposed to take these hits as a quarterback. You can't take these hits, so don't. Like you're at a water park, just slide. That's all you have to do. It's not that big of a deal. Just slide.
Brothers and brothers. The NFL season is back. And with that, so is fantasy football. And ladies and germs, I got news. I have news. Let's be more formal here. Gone are the days where I'm repping the average Joes. I mean, they just weren't doing it for me. They just couldn't get the job done. I mean, for far too long, we were riding the back of the standings. We just couldn't get the job done. And so I'm moving on to greener pastures. I have started Team Globo Gym. I need a powerhouse. I need someone firm. I need someone that can rise above the rest. And I think Globo Gym is going to do that for me this year in fantasy. And with their help, I'm going to win some pretty sweet prizes at Better Fantasy. Oh yeah, Better Fantasy? It's the first platform that's enabling you to sync your existing fantasy league and bet on the matchups. I've been using this app, and I can't begin to explain how awesome this is. I mean, this is really an ingenious idea. You have sports betting, and then you have fantasy football. Boom! Smack them together, you have the greatest creation ever. It's like the Liam Neesons of sports apps. You know what makes this even better? It's free. That's right, Free, free, baby. What's better than that, man? Whole lot of muffin. It's totally free to play, meaning no matter where you live, you're able to get in on the action. It's basically like your traditional sports book, but instead of betting on an NFL matchup, you're betting on your fantasy league's matchups. Outstanding! You earn the app's in-game currency by completing challenges, and you use them to place bets. When you win, you're able to cash out for unreal prizes, and you're even able to raise some money for charity. I mean, really, does it get any better than that? I'll tell you what, it does. Listeners of this podcast are able to take advantage of a special offer. When you sign up today to create your free account, you can receive 3 times the amount of credits you normally would just by doing this. When it asks how you heard about us, you just tell them your friend from a hit to the head told you so. Head over to Better Fantasy right now. Create your account. Get in on all the action. Better Fantasy, BETTOR, fantasy.com. Once again, Better Fantasy, BETTOR, fantasy.com. Long live Globo Gym, and shout out to me for my spelling.
Guess who's back? Back again. Denver's back. Back again. The Toilet Bowl Game of the Week features the Indianapolis Colts heading into Denver to take on the Broncos. The Colts got the win here, 12-9. Let's start it off with the Broncos here. Stop letting Russ cook. Stop letting quarterback Russell Wilson cook. His inability to perform at a high level is a major reason why the Broncos look like the aftermath of an Avengers movie. Russ can't cook jack. He couldn't make ramen. Take a page out of the Seattle Seahawks book and maybe put a little bit of restraint on the guy. You know, if you give him too much freedom, he starts to unravel. You know, keep things a little bit tighter. You guys lost to a Colts offense that was without running back Jonathan Taylor. He's the best running back in the NFL, okay? Let's not make a mistake about it. Anthony, I'll give you that, best running back in the NFL. The Colts were without him, and they still won. In other words, 37-year-old Matt Ryan, who is a fossil nowadays, looked better than Dangerous, as Russell Wilson's nickname goes. Dangerous. And Matt Ryan had 3 turnovers. Should have had 4, but he had 3. You guys lost to that guy. What does that say about you? You guys are a joke. Denver Broncos are a joke. Every facet of their team is a laughing stock. The Denver Broncos might be worse than the Chicago Bears, and that's really saying something. I want to see the two go up against one another and see who comes out on top. You know a team has to be really bad when I'm spending more of this segment talking about them than I do on the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, that really tells you something. The all feuds aside, thank you for tuning in to the Toilet Bowl Game of the Week. Guys, we'll see you next time. Another team that clearly tuned into last week was the Baltimore Ravens as they held the home front against the invading Cincinnati Bengals. The Ravens won 19-17 here. The Ravens improved to 3-2 on the year while the Bengals fall to 2-3. This was a much-needed victory against a divisional rival. It wasn't pretty, but they got the job done. The defense woke up a little bit. They held Joe Burrow to 190 net passing yards. No receiver on Cincinnati had more than 53 yards. However, they still allowed a little more than 100 rushing yards. It's better, but it's still not enough. This is a team where the defense has always been what made the Ravens a fearsome adversary. I mean, it has always been their identity, and they need to get back to it. Also, running back J.K. Dobbins, he needs a bigger role in the run game, in the offense entirely. He's only averaging about 9 rushes per game. He's a dynamic threat. He's best used in a run-heavy offense. That's why they drafted him in the second round, right? That's why they drafted him so early, is because they needed an elite running back, or at least an elite caliber running back, who's dynamic enough to be a threat in the run game, who can handle, 20 rush attempts per game while still being, a reliable receiving option in the pass game. Use him! Use him for such. That's why he's there. Get him involved more. Stop running with Lamar Jackson. I get he's a superstar threat in the run game. With those read options, oh, you got me shaking in my boots. But use J.K. Dobbins more, okay? You drafted him for this reason. Use him. Last, but certainly not least, we have the matchup between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs. The game took place in Arrowhead Stadium. The Chiefs held on 30-29 here, improving to 4-1, while the Raiders fall to 1-4. The Raiders might be the only team more disappointing than the Denver Broncos. The Jets, even the Houston Texans look better than the Las Vegas Raiders. Come on, son. Meanwhile, wide receiver Devontae Adams, dude, I get it was an embarrassing loss. He should have won. But come on. Maybe he's a bad guy, to be honest. After the fact, he said, "That's not who I am. I felt immediate regret afterwards." Well, you just did it. And if you immediately regretted it, air quotes, immediately regretted it, why did you step over him instead of picking him up? If you really felt bad, why would you step over him? You don't have to be a hero, but just be like, "My bad," throw up your hands or something, be like, I'm sorry. But nah, you just smoked the dude, stepped over him, and just kept on walking. This would have never happened if he stayed in Green Bay, and I think he's starting to realize it. Alright, before you shuffle on out of here and do whatever you gotta do, we're gonna give you our picks for the top games of Week 6. We're gonna give you the 5 key matchups for Week 6 of the 2022 NFL season. Let's start it all off with number 1. The New York Jets at the Green Bay Packers, 1 o'clock p.m. Sunday. Again, that is the New York Jets at the Green Bay Packers, 1 o'clock p.m. Sunday. You can expect this to be a comeback game for the Packers, a bounce-back game, if you will. After their embarrassing defeat to the New York Giants in London, they're going to have a fire underneath them. Aaron Rodgers is going to be keying in on the Jets, and he's going to be looking to get back in the win column and get back on top of the NFC North. Again, that is the Jets at the Packers, 1 o'clock p.m. Sunday. I'm taking the Packers in this, but don't be surprised if the Jets make it a quality matchup. And number 2, we have the Baltimore Ravens at the New York Jets, going back-to-back with New York games here at 1 o'clock p.m. Sunday. Again, that is the Ravens at the Giants, 1 o'clock p.m. Sunday. Are the Giants' luck running out? Maybe. After last week, they were lucky to get away with a win against the Packers. However, with Daniel Jones still hanging in there, if he's able to play well against the Ravens here, it's going to be a tight matchup, but I like the way that the Ravens are rolling forward. If they can get J.K. Dobbins involved a little more, the defense can button down a little more, I think they should have no problem taking this game away from the Giants. Again, that's the Ravens at the Giants, 1 o'clock p.m. Sunday. I'm taking Baltimore here. And number 3, we have the Buffalo Bills against the Kansas City Chiefs here on the road, 4:25 p.m. Sunday. Hey, how is this not prime time? Instead, you have the Washington football team against the Chicago Bears in Thursday Night Football, but you can't give the Bills and the Chiefs a prime time slot? Both these teams are 4-1 here. You have 2 unreal offenses going at it here. It's going to be so much fun to watch. Josh Allen doing his thing, Patrick Mahomes doing his thing. I'm going to lean more so towards the Bills, though, because their defense is very, very solid. Not too keen on the Chiefs' defense, on the other hand. So I'm kind of rocking more towards the Bills, especially because I have Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs in fantasy. Not a big deal. So I'm rolling with the Bills here. Again, that's the Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs, 4:25 p.m. Sunday. I have the Bills. At number 4, we have the Dallas Cowboys at the Philadelphia Eagles, 8:20 p.m. Sunday night, prime time. Again, that is the Cowboys at the Eagles, 8:20 p.m. Sunday night, prime time. No matter what, someone will walk away from this game with their first loss on the year, whether that be quarterback Cooper Rush of the Dallas Cowboys or the Philadelphia Eagles as a team. I think this is going to be a really fun matchup to watch because NFC East battles are always tight, no matter who's playing, no matter where they are in the standings. It's always a good battle. I'm going to take the Cowboys here, though, because I feel like the Eagles are due to slip up. So I like the Cowboys' chances here. Their defense is really coming alive. So it's going to be a tough battle for the Eagles. I don't really see them coming out on top here. Again, that is the Cowboys at the Eagles, 8:20 p.m. Sunday night, prime time. I have the Dallas Cowboys. And at number 5, I don't know why I do this, but the Denver Broncos at the LA Chargers, 8:15 p.m. Monday night, prime time. Again, that is the Broncos at the Chargers, 8:15 p.m. Monday night, prime time. Again, I don't know why I keep putting the Broncos in these slots. I don't know why I do it to myself, but you think they have to come alive at some point, right? I mean, it's not like Russell Wilson's a bum, right? He was awarded the Pro Bowl 9 times before. He's a Super Bowl champ, so he has to be doing something right in his career. The LA Chargers, they're the real deal. We went into it earlier, how they just really have everything on that roster. It's just a matter of piecing it together. And I think they're going to be able to do it here on Monday night against the Broncos here. I'm taking the Chargers. Again, that is the Broncos at the Chargers, 8:15 p.m. Monday night, prime time. Let's go Chargers. But guys, those are your top 5 games for Week 6 of the 2022 NFL season. Be sure to tune into those. They're going to be a ton of fun to watch and enjoy. Ladies and germs, unfortunately, that is all we have for you on today's episode of A Hit to the Head. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please be a friend. Share with other friends, families, neighbors, dogs, anyone you meet throughout your day. Be a good Samaritan and spread the word. If you didn't enjoy this episode, I'm holding it against you. Be sure to check out our website, ahittothehead.com, where you can read a bunch of fun and cool articles on all things sports related. Check out our YouTube channel, A Hit to the Head, where you can rewatch and listen to all of our previous podcast episodes, as well as fun Q&As featuring questions sent in by you, the fans, the people. Follow us on Twitter at A Hit to the Head, where you can receive notifications on all of that fun jazz. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, be sure to take care, be safe, and we'll see you all in the next episode.